The Category 4 made landfall 6 hours ago. Power died 4 hours back. Your neighbor who swore he'd ride it out stopped posting 2 hours ago. His house is now a wet tomb with furniture blocking the door from inside. Your phone's at 11% battery, but the tower's drowned before lunch, so it's just an expensive clock. You have maybe 90 minutes before storm surge hits full force and tests whether your walls understand physics. No worries. We're going to survive this using hydrostatics, trash bags, and the cold certainty that water doesn't negotiate. The door will explode. Storm surge doesn't fill like a bathtub. It hits like a horizontal avalanche. Water can rise 6 feet in under 20 minutes, driven by hurricane winds still pushing ocean inland even after the eye passes. At 6 feet of exterior flooding, you're looking at roughly 2.6 psi of hydrostatic pressure. A standard residential door is about 20 square feet, 2,880 square inches. That's over 7,400 pounds trying to equalize. You're not holding that back with furniture and optimism. When it fails, the door doesn't open. It detonates inward, bringing sewage, debris, and enough force to shatter bones. If you're still downstairs when that happens, you have about 3 minutes before you drown in your own hallway. Your job isn't to keep the water out. Your job is to not be there when it wins. Vertical escape. Prep it now or die. Trying later. Most hurricane drownings happen indoors, in attics, in stairwells, or while trying to break through a roof with tools that don't exist. Roofs are engineered to resist punching through. Asphalt shingles, plywood sheathing, and trusses don't care about your panic. You'll tire out in 5 minutes while the water rises at 4 inches per minute. But do not pre-cut your roof. Scoring a hole in your roof structure before a Category 4 arrives is handing the wind a starting point to rip the entire thing off. Wind doesn't need an invitation. It'll create positive pressure from below and peel your roof like a sardine can. Instead, keep an axe or reciprocating saw in the attic with you when you evacuate upstairs. Mark your exit point with tape so you know where to strike. If you're in a 2-story house, designate one window as your break point. Use a spring-loaded center punch, $8, fits in your pocket, to shatter glass without destroying your hand. Pre-tie a nylon rope to something structural, a beam, a radiator, so you can lower yourself or others onto the roof when the interior is compromised. You don't prep the exit. You prep access to the tools and the route. There's a difference, and it's the difference between losing your roof to wind and losing your life to water. Attics without ventilation hit dangerous C. O2 levels in 90 to 120 minutes with 2 people breathing. Add heat. Attics during storms can hit 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and you're looking at confusion and poor decisions right when you need clarity. You're not waiting this out in a wooden coffin. You're on the roof in under 60 seconds when water breaches the 2nd floor. The sewage problem. Hurricane floodwater isn't water anymore. It's sewage from backed-up systems, gasoline from submerged cars, pesticides, decomposing animals, and industrial runoff. Bacteria like E. coli, Vibrio, and Salmonella thrive in warm, brackish, stagnant water. One open cut, one gulp, one splash in your eyes, and you're fighting infection with zero medical infrastructure. Vibrio vulnificus, common in warm coastal floodwater, causes necrotizing fasciitis if it enters through broken skin. Fatality rate in immunocompromised individuals, 50%. It doesn't need a deep wound. A hangnail is enough. If you absolutely must wade through floodwater, do not use trash bags taped to your legs. They rip on the first submerged nail or glass shard, and once contaminated water gets inside the bag, it's trapped against your skin, a perfect bacterial incubator. Use rubber waders or heavy-duty boots if you have them. If you don't, accept that you're getting wet, and prioritize not touching your face until you've rinsed with the cleanest water you have. Mark any cuts with a Sharpie and monitor for redness, swelling, or heat over 48 hours. The real move: don't wade unless you have no choice. Stay vertical. Stay dry. Stay on the roof. Everything you own is now a weapon. The moment water hits knee height indoors, your furniture starts migrating. Chairs, mattresses, propane tanks, anything with air pockets becomes a 50-pound floating projectile. Refrigerators tip. Bookcases collapse forward. And because the water's opaque with silt and sewage, you can't see any of it until it crushes your ribs. Buoyancy is automatic. Wood averages 0.4 to 0.7 grams per cubic centimeter. Water is 1.0 grams per cubic centimeter. A wooden chair weighing 15 pounds displaces enough water to generate 30+ pounds of buoyant force, enough to lift and launch it into your kneecap. Add current from surge pushing through windows, and your living room becomes a demolition derby where you're the target. Before water reaches the second floor, anchor or eliminate. Move light furniture into small rooms and shut the doors. Take anything buoyant and dangerous, propane, batteries, tools, and move them to the highest shelf you can access or lash them to structural beams with ratchet straps. If you can't secure it, get it out of your exit path. Trying to navigate chest-deep toxic water while dodging floating furniture in the dark is how you drown in your own hallway. The 48-hour resource cliff. FEMA doesn't arrive in 24 hours. Major hurricanes collapse infrastructure across hundreds of square miles. Roads are impassable. Bridges are out. Emergency responders are either evacuated or dealing with flooded stations. FEMA operates on a 72-hour minimum deployment timeline, and that assumes perfect logistics, which never happens. The National Guard has to be activated, mobilized, and routed. All of that takes years. You're in the chaos window, and the chaos window has one rule: you're on your own until proven otherwise. The average human survives 3 days without water, but in post-hurricane conditions, heat, stress, exertion, that compresses to under 48 hours before cognitive decline and organ stress. At 5% body water loss, you get dizzy and confused. At 10%, you risk seizures and death. Every hour without water shaves IQ points you need for the next crisis. Your water plan has 3 layers. Pre-storm cache. Fill every container before landfall. Bathtubs, pots, bottles, Ziplocs double-bagged in a cooler. 1 gallon per person per day, minimum. This is untouchable until the taps die. Rainwater capture. If it's still raining post-storm, funnel it through a tarp into a clean container. Rainwater that hasn't touched the ground yet is relatively safe. Boil it if you can. If you can't, let it sit in clear bottles in direct sunlight for 6+ hours. UV kills most bacteria. Do not drink floodwater, even filtered. Homemade sand and gravel filters remove sediment, not dissolved chemicals, gasoline, pesticides, heavy metals. Boiling kills bacteria but doesn't touch toxins. Floodwater is a last resort between die of thirst now and maybe die of poisoning in 2 days. Prioritize rainwater caught directly from the sky before it hits your contaminated roof. Signal like your life depends on it. Rescue helicopters prioritize visible distress signals. If your house looks abandoned or blends into visual noise, you wait and wait. Search and rescue runs triage, active signals first, then grid sweeps, then we'll come back. You might be on that roof for 6, 12, 18 hours in full sun with no water. Before you evacuate to the roof, grab 3 things: a bright bedsheet or towel, white, yellow, neon. Spread it flat on the highest point. Weight the corners. This screams human here, even when you're resting. A small mirror, CD, or anything reflective. Flash sunlight at helicopters. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. SOS. Even if they don't know Morse, flashing light is a universal distress cue. Your flashlight, not a garbage bag. If you need to signal at night, use the flashlight's strobe function if it has one, or manually blink it in patterns. Steady light looks like a porch lamp. Interrupted light looks like communication. Don't waste brightness filtering it through plastic. High contrast markers increase detection probability by over 60% compared to no marker. Rescuers develop search fatigue. Make their job easy. Be loud, bright, and obvious. The water doesn't leave. Storm surge doesn't drain like a bathtub. If your area is flat, gravity has nowhere to pull the water. The ocean's still elevated. The ground saturated. Drains are clogged. The water sits for days. And while it sits, mold colonizes wet drywall and insulation within 24 to 48 hours. Stachybotrys, black mold, thrives in warm, wet, organic material with low airflow. Breathing it causes respiratory distress and chronic illness. You can't run dehumidifiers. The power's dead. The house becomes a rot chamber. The second water drops below door height. You go back inside to destroy, not salvage. Open every window. Punch ventilation holes in walls near the floor and ceiling. Pull up soaked carpet immediately. It's a mold farm now. Bag it, drag it outside. Same with insulation and drywall that sat underwater over 6 hours. You're not renovating. You're amputating before the infection spreads. Anything porous that was wet for 48+ hours cannot be cleaned. It must be removed. Your walls aren't drying. They're composting. Hurricanes kill with water, time, and bad assumptions. The water will equalize. The debris will float. The bacteria will colonize. You can't stop any of that. You can only move faster than the consequences. Everything here is built on hydrostatics, buoyancy, and contamination. The survivors aren't the ones with the most gear. They're the ones who understood the 48-hour window between landfall and when outside help becomes logistically possible. In that window, every mistake has a cost you can't afford. You don't win by being a hero. You win by understanding the physics trying to kill you and refusing to be where it lands. You're not trying to be invincible, just harder to kill than the environment around you.